Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
Pretty good, Max. How about you?
It is a very, very gorgeous afternoon, Caden. I'm enjoying the weather. I'm enjoying the climate. I'm just enjoying, basketball
Oh, yeah.
currently. So I guess let's hop right into this episode, beginning with the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, so we mentioned last week they're going into a tough 4-game East Coast road stand, which as of today has just completed after they just played the Celtics. So, yeah, they started off in Indiana. They were able to get a win, look good. That's a team they're good for the East, but they're not like that good of a team. Like they're a
Yeah.
playoff team, but they're nothing special. You need to win that game. You do. But then you play the Bucks, and you're looking good this whole game. You carry in a lead into halftime. You're looking good in most of the third. Then the end of that third into the fourth, you just looked like a completely different basketball team. You're missing shots. You're letting Brooke Lopez eat. Like, you just weren't looking like the Denver Nuggets, and it was just hard to watch in that game.
Yeah, Caden, that was an unfortunate one because, like you said, we talked about wanting to perform better against these upper echelon teams. We'll get to the Boston game, but the Bucks are one of those top teams in the East that's going to be a force that are potentially competing for a championship, and you want to be able to show better, have a better showcase against teams like that.
Yeah. And then second out of a back-to-back, they're playing the Pistons. They were it was basically a pick 'em. They were a 1-point favorite. At the time, the Pistons had won 8 in a row. They were looking really hot. And the Nuggets, they played good basketball. They're now 12-1 on a back-to-back. Win this game by 15. Offense puts up 134 points. Everything's clicking that game. After MPJ had a really bad game against the Bucks, he came back firing in this Pistons game, was making shots, getting boards, just being what we've come to see out of Michael Porter Jr., especially this season. And then, like you said, against the Celtics, you play him today, and it all came down to a poor first half. Like, you lose the game 103 to 110, but in the first quarter, you get outscored by 12. You only scored 20 points in the first quarter, and then you start trying to come back. You're down by as many as 20 in the second quarter in this game. You get it down to 13 at half, and then right to start the second half, you let them go on a 7-0 run, get back up 20. Then you start coming back. You're keeping it close. You're only down by 6 entering the fourth. You get it down to within a bucket here or a bucket there, and you're competing, going back and forth, and it just ends up not being enough. Like in this game, it just wasn't good basketball. Offensively, on the Nuggets. Their defense, if you're only allowing 110 points to the Celtics, I think that's actually good defense out of a very poor defensive team for the Nuggets. But what killed them was their shooting. They shot 12 of 35 from three, where the Celtics were 14 of 34. And then if you look at the free throw lines, Nuggets 9 of 13 from the line, so not great there. And then the Celtics were 22 of 27. So 14 more attempts for the Celtics, 13 more makes, plus the added threes, just shooting better from the field as a whole. That's going to lose you games where you had open threes. I think they said it during the broadcast. I'm pretty sure the Nuggets shot 3 of 12 on open threes this game.
Which is just atrocious, Caden. And as you talked about, this game started off with the Nuggets just being so far behind. When you start these games already a step behind the opponent, it's more draining having to find your shot, find your rhythm later on in the game, and having to exert more energy. And ultimately, it's just showcasing the shots aren't falling. And in this league, you need the 3 ball to hit in order to compete.
Yeah, I mean, because while the Nuggets don't shoot a high volume of threes, they are one of the more efficient teams when it comes to actually making threes. But then you look at this, Porter was 2 of 6, 2 of 3 for Jokic, so he did his part. 2 of 8 Westbrook, 2 of 7 Murray, 2 of 8 Christian Brown. That's an awful out of the starting lineup where all these guys can make threes and can make them at a high clip. And when Jokic is now here dishing, diming, giving you a bunch of open looks from three, those need to be made.
Yes, they do, Kane. And that's going to be the big difference for the Nuggets is figuring out, is someone going to step up and be able to hit down these shots when it gets to playoff time, when it gets to these big games, Caden? Because although these games are big now, ultimately what matters is the postseason.
Yeah, so I mean, coming up, we'll talk about this more. Next week, they have 2 home games against the Kings and the Suns. But then, we talked about a couple weeks ago, they have the back-to-back in Oklahoma City. So that's going to be big. That's going to be big into seeing what this team is. Can we compete with these other teams? Because Kings at home should be a win. Suns at home should be a win.
You'd think.
Then it's going to get to this Thunder, and we need to see at least a split in those 2 games.
I think so, kid.
Now, we'd mentioned them earlier. We're going to move on to the Detroit Pistons, who are playing some very good basketball as of late. As of right now, they're the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. We talked about like a month or so ago how it looked like they were going to be, at worst, a play-in team. Now it looks like they're not even going to be a play-in team. They are 9-1 in their last 10 with their one loss coming to the Nuggets last week. They are only a game behind actually hosting a playoff series.
Correct.
They're a game behind the Bucks of being the 4th seed, so they'll actually get a home playoff series. And then you just look what they've been doing with JB Bickerstaff as his coach. They've been looking great. They've had some good wins in this stretch too. Beat the Celtics by 20, beat the Clippers, Hawks, Spurs is whatever, Bulls twice, Hornets, Sixers. So, I mean, not a bunch of great wins, but you look at they're winning the games they need to win, and they had the big blowout win against the Celtics. So, I mean, while it doesn't look like they're going to be going far or anything, if you can get a home playoff series, you can see what Cade Cunningham and company can do going forward.
Most definitely can. It's got to be an exciting time for the Detroit Pistons team, who just a couple years ago was at the very bottom of the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
A laughing stock, a joke of the league. You have all these picks, you get all this young talent. Now, finally, you're seeing it come to fruition. You're seeing, you're reaping the benefits of what you sowed earlier on. And this team developing, they're firing their prime Caden, and who knows, they might be able to come in hungry and upset someone potentially in the playoffs at the way they've been playing lately.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that, they already this season have won more games than the last 2 seasons combined. So a big step up. You look at Cade Cunningham, he's having by far his best career season. A little over 25 points, 6 boards, 9.5 assists, 46% from the field. So Cade's looking great. One thing with that, though, he shouldn't be in, like, a lot of people are trying to say he should be the most improved player. No. Like, his points per game took a two-point jump. Nothing else has really jumped that much. Like, it's just a little bit. I mean, look at someone like Norman Powell with the Clippers, who's jumped a whole 10 points per game this year, which is insane. Then you look at even Christian Brown with the Nuggets. Both these guys have taken bigger jumps this season. So it's like, yes, Cade Cunningham's having a great season. He should be on more likely than not an all-NBA team this year. But it doesn't mean he should be the most improved player. Either way, he's playing great. And also Nuggets legend Malik Beasley. He's really found a home here. There's reports that at the trade deadline, he went into the Pistons front office and said, "Don't trade me. I want to be here. I like what we're building."
Yeah.
And since the start of February, so he's averaging just shy of 17 points a game,
really
16 and a half. But since the start of February, it's jumped up to about 18 and a half points a game. He's shooting 48% from 3. So he's shooting the ball really well. He's really finding his groove here. He's helping out the offense as Cade's now not the only offensive threat. It's also good for him to step up as Jaden Ivey got hurt. He's going to be out for a little while, I think probably for the season. So now you see Malik Beasley stepping in this role. I mean, we've seen these last handful of years. He is a sharpshooter from deep, from 3. And this year it's really like we saw with the Bucks, but it's more better now with the Pistons where he's getting the attempts. He's making them. He's becoming a big fit in this offense with Cade, with Jalen Duren. The Pistons are firing on all cylinders right now, and it's cool to see for Detroit. Their 8-game win streak was the most games they had won in a row since the 07-08 season. It was the first time they've had more than a 5-game win streak since the 2014-2015 season. So Detroit basketball's been looking for this for a while, and that's been cool to see.
Yes, they have, Kane, and like you said, it's well-deserved for a team that, quote-unquote, has done it the right way, per se, and just building it up through the draft, building up through free agency and key acquisitions. It's going to be exciting to see what their future holds.
Yeah, last thing we want to talk about here is the LA Lakers.
Per usual.
Who, as of right now, after the Nuggets lost to the Celtics, are only a half game out of the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. It's very convoluted right there for the top 5 seeds. So the Nuggets are 10 games back of the Thunder, Lakers 10.5, Grizzlies 10.5, Rockets 11.5. So all those are teams are within a game and a half of either being the number 2 seed and can host a playoff series for the first 2 rounds, or maybe even the whole playoffs if the Thunder lose, and being the 5 seed, and you don't even get a host a playoff series.
Which would be crazy.
So it's crazy. It's very convoluted right now. Then you look at the Lakers, and they've, since this Luka Doncic trade, have looked amazing. There was obviously questions about their defense, but their defense has been playing really well. It started off a little shaky in the Luka era. They killed the Jazz the first game, but then lost to the Jazz, lost to the Hornets, so 2 not great games, beat the Blazers, and then it was really this Lakers game. We mentioned it last week. It was the first true Luka game of him being in the Lakers uniform against the Nuggets last week.
Yeah.
And they've carried that momentum on, beat the Mavericks, beat the Timberwolves, and beat the Clippers. They play the Clippers again later tonight, which would be another good win. They're at home.
Could be.
And looking at it this way, since Luka's came over, his points per game hasn't been as great. He's only averaging 21 points per game, but 8.5 boards, 6.5 assists, and he's been coming out as late. He started off very slow, 14, 16, 14, but then he had 32 in that Nuggets game, 19, 21, and then 31 just the other night against the Clippers. So he's really coming on. And then someone like Rui Hachimura, who is now actually injured and going to be missing at least a week, but he's taken a big step up. Being more of like a tertiary option. He already was with LeBron and AD, but now when you have another passer with the ability of Luka, not just LeBron, he's so on the season just about 13 points a game. Since the trade, he's been up to 15 points a game on better efficiency, shooting the three ball better, making more just more shots in total. He's really elevated his offensive score, and it really helps when you have two of the probably top 5 best passers in the league, and Luka and LeBron on the same team. So it's just helping this whole offense gel as a whole. And I mean, surprisingly, we talked about how bad the defense hasn't looked that bad. It's going to be interesting to see when they start playing a lot of these better teams. Like JJ Redick game plan awesome for the Nuggets. When they start playing the Nuggets, when they start playing the Nuggets again, playing the Thunder, these upper tier teams, I want to see how their defense is going to hold up, because this is what we'll see more in a playoff series.
Correct, Caden. And you really kind of only mentioned his name one time, but LeBron James has been playing absolutely phenomenal since, Luka Doncic trade as well. He's definitely had a revitalization at the age of 40, somehow, some way, still putting up numbers comparable to his prime, his MVP seasons, which is ridiculous.
I mean, they're not that high, but
look at him, kid.
No, his stats are good.
Look at his currently.
I am. We're pulling up the LeBron James stats. 25 points, 8 boards, 8 assists.
Now look at his MVP season from maybe 11, 12.
James
12, 13.
MVP seasons. 10, 12, or 13. Let's see. In those MVP years, where are you? MVP 1. 28 points, 30 points, 27 points, 27 points. Less assist numbers, board numbers about the same, but so the scoring isn't as high, but the playmaking is great. And I mean, like we said, him and Luka are each one of the top 5 passers in the league. It's probably Jokic, Luka, Trae Young, LeBron, and I don't know exactly who else you throw in the top 5, but it's those 4. As probably actually Tyrese Halliburton. That's the other one in the top 5. Those are your top 5, and you have 2 of them running on the same offense. It has been very beneficial for the Lakers, where they are not a good 3-point shooting team.
Nope.
Kind of like the Nuggets in a way.
Very similar.
But now when you have these 2 insane ball handlers, you're able to run the cuts, find open guys. And a guy that we didn't mention yet, but Austin Reeves, he's having an amazing year.
Correct.
We saw him too before the Luka trade. His assist numbers were going crazy. He was getting 8 to 10. He was putting up 30 point.
Well.
He was putting up 30-point triple doubles.
Yep.
And now you can have him. Actually, now it's really Rui's your 4th option on offense. It's Luka, LeBron, then even Austin Reeves, who still can give you 20, 25 points a night on good efficiency. He's good at cutting to the basket. He's one of their better 3-point shooters. And he can dish the ball. So you have 3 above-average passers with 2 elite passers on this team. It's just making the whole offense click.
It makes everything click. It makes it more exciting, and it honestly puts a little more stress on other teams in the Western Conference, just knowing that the Lakers still are going to be able to compete. And who knows, you get them in the series, that might be able to cause someone some trouble.
Oh, definitely. It definitely cause someone some trouble. It'd be interesting if we get a 3rd year in a row of Nuggets-Lakers. See what happens there.
Would be exciting.
I'd put my money on the Nuggets still, but it would be very interesting to watch.
And it's very realistic possibility for that to happen, kid.
Depending on how this
someone's gonna have
whole
to beat
thing shakes. Or, I mean, you could see it in the second round. If let's say the Lakers end up with the 3 seed, it'll be Nuggets-Lakers in the second round, assuming both teams move on. So it'll be interesting to see. We know the Nuggets still have more games against Lakers. I want to see these 2 match up. And like I said, I want to see the Lakers against more of these upper echelon opponents, see how their defense holds up so we can get a better gauge of that coming into the playoffs.
Definitely.
So, yeah, thank you guys all for listening to this episode. Make sure you guys like this video if you enjoyed. Comment what you guys think on any of these teams or any teams you think we need to discuss, something we've been missing. Turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload, and share this video with a friend, family, strangers, neighbors, anything like that.
Most definitely. We thank you all for listening. We'll see you all next time.